Well, hello, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Let's do episode 129 of Mike in the Midwest. How about it? Let's see here. Let's do it. Here we go. Welcome to episode number 129 of Mike in the Midwest, a mini podcast for the amazing patrons just like you of the Be Our Guest podcast. Of course, my name is Mike Rallman, host of the Be Our Guest podcast, which you can find at beourguestpodcast.com on Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, and of course, the replays of the Sunday night call-in shows on Thursdays, except for right now because we're taking a 3-week break just because of how the calendar falls this year. Christmas Day was on a Sunday. New Year's Day is going to be on a Sunday. And then, of course, oh my gosh, the next Sunday will be Sunday, Bloody Sunday, right? Because that's Marathon Sunday for many of us. Scott and I will be out there trying to attempt 26.2 miles. So we'll be in Florida. We'll be in bad shape that night. So there will be no live call-in show because we'll still be there and hopefully still be among the living as we approach that Sunday night. So send up a prayer for us next. I think what's that, January 6th or something like that. I don't know. It's going to be epic. But yeah, we'll be back to the live call-in shows after that. So we want to make the call-in shows better than ever in 2023. I'm going to try to add some stuff to those. I want to make the show even better in 2023. So be ready. New ideas. Same, we're going to put out as many shows Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Live call-in shows on Sunday nights, but we'll try to make the Sunday night shows even more interactive if possible. But we want to have more interaction from you, and that involves especially you guys, the patrons of the show, because this is absolutely your show. You support the show every month, and if you have a suggestion, let me know, and we'll work together to make it happen. Also, I appreciate you guys so much. Hope you had a great Christmas. It was a cold one around here, and it was a super cold one here in the United States, especially for those folks down in Florida. I saw in the news last night, I actually saw visual news. They did a story about the iguanas falling out of the trees. There was an iguana laying in the middle of a street, just knocked out. And the reporter was talking about, if you see this, because it was here in St. Louis, but it was a report that was, I guess, made for folks in Southern Florida, but they were showing it here because of the, crazy nature of the story. They said, if you see an iguana that is knocked out laying in the middle of the street, do not take the iguana back into your house to warm up. And I'm thinking, no kidding, right? This iguana is gonna, he's freezing. So he's dormant because he's been knocked out because he's so cold. He's forced into hibernation. You take him into a house that's 72 and warm. He wakes up, freaks out, doesn't know where he is. And of course, they're like, he might be aggressive. Well, you think the iguana might be aggressive after he wakes up? So yeah, we've had cold weather. We've had falling iguanas out of trees. I feel bad for everybody that planned Christmas vacations to Walt Disney World. This could have been you. So maybe you went down for Christmas. And, because in our mind's eye, when you make those plans in April or, back last February or, in June, you're thinking, man, especially if you're from a place like here, like in St. Louis, right? It's always cold here at Christmas. So you're thinking, wow, this Christmas, it's going to be awesome. We're going to be wearing shorts. We're going to be wearing t-shirts. We're going to, get our picture in front of the Christmas tree on Main Street, USA, but it's going to be, it's going to be nice and warm and sunny. And we're going to, wearing our Crocs, and we're going to be sending pictures back to our friends and family. On Christmas morning, I saw the pictures on social media of people entering the Magic Kingdom, still looking like they're having a good time, but they were bundled up like we were here in St. Louis because I think it was in the upper 30s or 40s. And I know the Magic Kingdom's fun, but it's not as fun when it's cold like that. I mean, just be honest, there's a novelty to it, I think, for Floridians for a few hours, because I think Floridians get a huge kick out of wearing sweaters and hoodies and coats and all that good stuff that they never get to wear. But it wears off after a few hours. Like it's just better to wear shorts and t-shirts. Let's just be honest. Like it's just more comfortable. So I feel bad for everybody that had to go through the cold snap. I know some people had busted pipes and all kinds of stuff. Hope you're doing okay. We're bouncing out of it. The sun's out of the Be Our Guest podcast windows right now. I just took Riley out. It's 30 degrees, which is feeling like it's 60 at this point because, I mean, at one point, the wind chill was 37 below here last week. It was so cold, it hurt. So we're turning the corner. I think in a few days, it's going to be 60 here. Now, here's the next crisis to worry about for all of us that are going down for marathon weekend, because my flight leaves at 6 a.m. next Wednesday. So I have 8 days until I head down for 6 days at Walt Disney World, 4 days of running, 1 day of the expo, 1 day to recover and get some pictures that Monday after the races. Southwest, right? If you've been watching the news, holy cow, Southwest is having all kinds of issues with their flights right now. Now, the good news is I follow tons of apps. I'm a nerd. Dr. Kai, my good buddy down in Arkansas, him and I are we're also like brothers because he loves technology as well. He noticed that I'm wearing some new headphones. Let me just take a little sidetrack here. I finally got this set of headphones that I've been wanting for 10 years. The Magic for Less for Christmas sends us a little gift card as a Christmas gift. It's a very nice gesture. And I used that to get these headphones. Now, they were on sale for $55 on Amazon, which I've been wanting these headphones forever because they're the industry standard in radio stations. And I've talked about Leo Laporte here on the show. He does the Tech Guy podcast, and he's been doing them for years. Well, these are the headphones he wears, and he's been wearing for decades. And I've always wanted a pair like this. Whenever you see like classic AM radio stations or talk radio, classic ones, these are the industry standards. They're not expensive, but they take a licking and they keep on ticking. They're like a Timex. They're not super fancy, but they're just kind of the industry standard. And they're super comfortable too. I mean, they are comfortable. You can wear them forever. But I mean, when I saw them for $55 on Amazon, I was like, I'm finally getting these things. That's why I have different headphones on. The other headphones that I had on, let me just tell you a little bit inside baseball. I got those headphones when we started the show. Those headphones were $21. They were a pair of plastic Sony headphones that I got on Amazon back in 2009. And I've worn them for every show that I've done in studio since 2009. And they still work great. I mean, they're fine, but I just wanted to get like a new pair because they were kind of starting to wear out, where this little piece of padding was wearing out. It was kind of digging into my bottom of my left ear. So these are a lot more comfortable now. But yeah, I finally have AKG headphones, and it's kind of fun to have, cool stuff. It's not expensive, but it's just fun. Anyway, back to Southwest. I was kind of freaking out so I saw on Twitter this morning as I was walking my 9 miles forever on the treadmill, I was following the news down at MCO. They had reporters there for the local media because I followed all the TV station reporters out of Orlando. And there was an announcement made in the airport that if you had a canceled flight out of Orlando, and this was this morning, again, Tuesday morning, that the soonest you were going to get out was Saturday at this point. I don't know if that's still holding true, but that is nuts. And that made my heart stopped. I'm like, oh my gosh, what? So again, this is just Southwest, I think. But so I started like worrying, am I going to be able to get down even next Wednesday? I mean, it's 8 days away, but I mean, it's like dominoes falling, right? So I looked, and at least on this flight board app that I use, it shows you the board that you see when you walk into the airport of arrivals and departures. The flights to Orlando out of our airport in St. Louis, Lambert, they're going out, and they're going out on time today. Now, let's keep that going. There were flights to the East Coast that were being canceled. I'm not going to the East Coast, like, up north, to the Northeast, up towards New England. I'm not going there, so that doesn't bother me. The flights to Orlando, we have about 5 or 6 a day on Southwest. They are going, and they're going on time right now. So knock on some wood for me that we're going to get down there for marathon weekend, because I'll drive if I have to. But on a solo trip and in a Jeep Wrangler in January, not ideal, especially for coming home after Dopey. Even less ideal. So let's all hope that we can get on an airplane. I can play with, my iPad. I can watch it. Well, actually, it's a 6 a.m. flight. Who am I kidding? I'll be sleeping. So, yeah, let's hope that this all resolves itself over the next, 48, 72 hours, and everybody gets where they need to go, home or where they're going, because this is just a huge mess right now. It's a wreck. Anyway, so let's talk about what happened here for Christmas. We had Paige home for about 3.5 days from Chicago, which was awesome. The basketball team up there, UIC, had a few days off for Christmas break. The girls got to go home, the basketball players, so the coaches got to go home, the staff, and it was great having all four of us under the same roof for a few days. And you don't realize how important that is until your kids go away. I never really thought about that until Paige. She was at Mizzou, and Mizzou was a lot easier to access, right? She would just come down. It was an hour and a half down I-70. She was back home a lot more frequently. Chicago's about a 4.5 hour drive. And to be honest, she has a role now as the director of basketball operations where she really has to be there for everything. She has to be there for every single practice, everything, every single media thing. Obviously, every single game. She's there on, she goes on every road trip because she runs everything. So we don't get to see her quite as often. And so you really do start to treasure the times you get when your whole family's under one roof. And I'm sure a lot of you guys have probably experienced that already, or if you haven't, you will. But it was just one of those things, like every night that we went to bed when all four of us were here, it just felt right. And Paige had to leave the day after Christmas, so she left on Monday. So yesterday morning, and then immediately we were all kind of messed up for a few hours, right? Because you get comfortable, right? You get to, they were playing, everybody was playing aggravation on the living room floor, and in trouble, and stuff like that. And we went out to dinner and, sat around and ate Christmas cookies and, listened to Christmas music and watch movies and, went to uh, Pam's parents' house and hung out and did Christmas. I mean, that's what we've always done. That's what we did since Paige was a little girl, since Mallory was little. And it was like we were back to where we were a family of four for a few days, and it was awesome. And then all of a sudden she's got to go back. And so, we'll see. She'll be back again, but it's one of those things like you got to savor those things. And we did, but it goes too quickly. And I can't wait for it to happen again. So anyway, so Christmas, excited because I told you guys, right? I'm the world's worst gift giver. Okay. So I lean on my daughters to help me with the gifts. Okay. So I didn't want to tell you what I got Pam in case she was listening through the walls as I recorded, but she got a pair. The girl said, here's what you got to get her. And I think Mallory has ulterior motives, I think, with her gifts sometimes because she has the same size foot as Pam. And so a lot of times she wants her to get shoes because sometimes they swap shoes and share shoes. So she wanted to get her these things called Ugg slippers because these are like slippers, but they're real furry and comfortable, but you can wear them outside. Apparently girls do and women do. So there's slippers that you can wear in the house, but you can also wear them, like, I guess if you go to Target or, you wouldn't wear them out like in a snowstorm, but you wear them like Target or Starbucks or something, Chick-fil-A or something. I don't know. So we got her those. The girls told me that's what you got to get her. Okay. So I was like, okay, I trust you there. Okay. And I didn't know what kind to get. So I'm like, okay, order them online. Here's my card and we'll go pick them up. Okay. So I didn't even go pick them up. When Paige got into town, I had them on hold. Paige and Mallory got in Paige's car. I told Paige, I sent her the email. They're sitting there. They're ready to be picked up. You guys go get them. So they went and got those. That was her part. Now, I went on my own and got one big gift, and I didn't tell anybody about it. Now, again, I'm the world's worst gift giver, right? So I took a flyer on this one. And Pam has been saying all last summer and spring that she wanted this thing called a solo stove. And what it is, it's like a fire pit kind of thing that you can put on your deck where it's basically so you can sit around it and you can like toast marshmallows and make s'mores and just like on an evening where it starts to get dark, you can sit around it and stay warm. Basically, it's just kind of a fancy new kind of fire pit. But I couldn't think of what to get her. And I remember like at the last moment that she had been saying last spring and last summer, she really wanted one of these solo stove things. So I took a flyer and I got her one, but I had to wait until because this thing's big. I mean, it's a big like cylinder. It's pretty large. And we don't have a huge house. So I didn't have a good place to hide this thing. So I was trying to time it out so it would be arriving before Christmas, but it wouldn't arrive super early, so she wouldn't find it in the house because I can't just hide it in a closet. We don't have any closets this thing would fit in. And the garage wouldn't work. She always walks through the garage. So it got here on the 23rd and I hit it. And then immediately I put it in front. So we had to have a water heater replaced about a month ago. and the old water heater's still sitting there. They're getting ready to pick it up because they had to wait till it like emptied out because there was a little rusty water in it. And they said they couldn't take it. They'd mess up our carpet. Well, I sat the box way back in the storage room where my treadmill is in front of the old water heater. No kidding. That day, she says, this must be on the 22nd. She goes, oh, yeah, by the way, tomorrow morning, they're coming to get the old water heater. I'm like, what? So at this point, Paige was here. So I told Paige, I'm like, Paige, she's going to go down there to make sure nothing's in front of that water heater so they can take it out, take the old one out. And she's going to see her Christmas gift. I have nowhere else to put it. I'm like, so you got to get down there and wrap that thing. So at least if she sees a box, she'll have no idea what it is. It's wrapped. It's a big, gigantic cube. So Paige wrapped it and we were clear. We put it in the corner. I brought it up and put it under the tree at that point. And I played it off. I'm like, whose gift is that? Is that mine? Is that Paige's? Who left that gift? I have no idea where that came from. So anyway, she liked it. She was actually super excited for it because she knows I'm a terrible gift. She's the best gift giver. And I'm a terrible gift giver. So I was actually excited that I came up with something on my own that I think she's going to enjoy. Now, the bummer is we can't use it right now. It's super cold. So we really won't even be able to use it until probably March. But I think we'll have a lot of fun evenings where we can sit around and just hang out on our deck and s'mores. I mean, that's good. Maybe listen to a ball game as it gets dark. I mean, I'm excited for that too. And I think that'll be a great family gift. Now, what she got me, which I'm excited about, and I know nothing about, she got me a Nintendo Switch, like the little Nintendo game, because I've been talking about there's one game I wanted to play, and I didn't know if I could play it on my computer or what, because I don't have a PlayStation, I don't have a Xbox, I don't have any of that. The newest thing I have is a Nintendo Wii, and I have a PlayStation 2. Those are the two newest systems that I have. But she got me the Switch thing, and it's super cool because I wanted this one game. It's called Atari 50, because I'd heard this on some of the podcasts that I listened to, because I listen to a lot of retro podcasts, and it's a collection of not only like the best of the old Atari arcade games that were in the arcades in like the 70s and 80s, Atari 2600 games, Atari 5200 games, and Atari Jaguar games. But it's also kind of like a vault. It has interviews with programmers and designers, and it talks, it gives the whole backstory of the Atari company. It's more than the games. It's like a history lesson in the evolution of this company at 50 years old of Atari, which if you're my age, I'll be 50 in November. So it's kind of, it's what I grew up with. Like when I was a kid, like, the gold standard was getting Atari 2600. Like it didn't get better than that. So I've been playing the heck out of Super Breakout on the Atari 2600. And that little thing's pretty cool because again, I know I'm like 10 years behind on this thing. It's been out forever, but I love that I can like drop it in the little sleeve thing and it pops up on the TV. So then I can actually see what I'm doing. But you can actually too play it right there on the handheld thing, which when I go down to Marathon Weekend, maybe I could play that on the plane or something. Very cool. I mean, I only have the one game for it. But I did find a thing where you can play some old Nintendo games like Super Mario Brothers and all that stuff. So it's kind of fun. So if you have any tips for the Nintendo Switch, let me know, especially retro games. I love retro games. So if give me some tips for next week, because I know I'm like, again, 10 years behind on this, but I've been having a good time with that. But I have old eyes, so it's much better on the TV. All right, so let's get to the feedback from last week's. It was a great Christmas. Great Christmas. Hope yours was awesome as well. Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate, hope you had a great one. All right, let's hit the feedback from last week. And Christine says, how nice to listen to today's show as I was running Christmas errands after work. I love that you volunteer for the honor flight. What a wonderful program. My dad, a Vietnam vet in the Marines, went with my son as his guardian a few years ago. It's a bus ride for us as we are outside Philly. My dad was very sick at the time and actually lost him 2 months after the trip. But for those 2 months, that's all he talked about and how much he enjoyed spending the day with his grandson and the trip in general. He was a very proud Marine. Oh, and by the way, thanks to you, my family makes fun of me and my weekend habit of having the Love Boat on all weekend long. It's my thing now. Every weekend, I relax by watching the show. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you and your family. Well, Christine, first of all, thank you so much, not only to your father, that he served and was a Marine over in Vietnam. That is amazing. I can't say enough that the veterans, because I did not serve. I decided to become a teacher. That's something I always wanted to do. But for those folks that did serve, they're the best among us. And it's not only the folks who served, it's the families who sacrificed as well. The siblings who, didn't get to spend time with their brother or sister. The parents who, I just talked about how much we miss Paige when she's not here. I mean, we get to see her more often than parents of soldiers and Marines and airmen and midshipmen and stuff. It's such a, they're the best among us, and I appreciate what your dad did for our country to make our country amazing, and thank you to your entire family for the sacrifices you made, and I'm glad that happened. But honor flight is amazing. Honor flight is just it's what the world should be. It's giving honor to those who sacrifice so much for us that we don't even think about it every day. I mean, I'm guilty of that. I don't think about how much folks right now, as I'm sitting here on a Tuesday afternoon doing a podcast, there's folks in the Middle East right now that are, probably burning hot. It's probably super hot. They're doing miserable jobs, but they're doing it to keep us safe. They're not liking that job, but it's their duty, duty. That's a hard word, but they're taking it serious. They're keeping us safe, or they're on a ship somewhere in the middle of nowhere because they love our country and because they want to keep all of us safe. How cool is that? How special is that? So God bless the military this holiday season and every day. And Christine, thank you for that great feedback. Hope you got your errands done too. All right, let's get to some more feedback here. Len out in Maryland says, "Hey, Mike, I definitely remember shopping at what we called secret Santa shops for my parents when we were young. I also remember taking our kids to secret Santa shops so that they could buy their presents for us. My daughter, who is very involved in her church, recently played a major part in researching, gathering donations, and distributing hundreds of gifts to the less fortunate families of northern Baltimore via a secret Santa shop. The family members could come into their church's community center and select donated gifts for their family, both children and adults. We are very proud of her." That is awesome, because think about it. There's really nothing better. I mean, we talk about getting things, and it's great to get things, right? I mean, I love to get that. Nintendo Switch was a cool gift. I mean, like it's been fun to play with, but it's way more fun to give. And maybe it's because I'm getting older, but like I got excited when I surprised Pam with that solo stuff because I'm so bad at giving gifts. Like I finally, gave her something I think she'll like. But to give people that really, really appreciate things that don't have the opportunity otherwise to give. How cool is that? And your daughter gave that opportunity for others to lift each other up and to have a celebration where there would be no celebration. Len and Jen, you guys did right. Thank you for sharing that, Len. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you. Trisha up in Wisconsin, where I bet it was even colder than here. She says, "We too are bracing for the storm. Unfortunately, we've lost power before in storms like this, so I'll be busy baking before it hits. We didn't have a school store when I was a kid, but my daughter had the opportunity last year. I don't recall what I got, but she purchased a pizza slice necklace for my husband as it's one of his favorite foods. It currently hangs from his rearview mirror. The school isn't offering the shopping opportunity this year, so my daughter took it upon herself to plan gifts for us with the grandparents. She's been doing chores at their house as a way to pay them back. I'll have to let you know what she got us." Yeah, definitely, Trisha. Let us know what she got you. That's so cool. I love that your grandparents kind of took the role that, because kids love giving. I think we forget about that because, as a kid, we're always worried about what we're going to get. Like when I was a kid, it was always like going through the Sears Wish book or the J.C. Penney's or the Montgomery Ward. And my grandma would give us all each different colors of highlighters. And you would highlight, C, C was the Star Wars TIE fighter, that was, yellow was Mike's color. And so that way grandma knew like what we were wanting for Christmas. So it was all about, what do we want? But I also remember like giving stupid little dumb things to my dad or my mom that I got at a Secret Santa store, or somebody would give me to wrap to give to them. And it was the greatest feeling ever, even as a kid, to give. And I think what a role, what a model that is, to have kids do that at a young age and to keep going with that. That is very, very cool. All right. So let us know what you got, Trisha, because a pizza slice necklace is hard to top. I'm just saying, especially if it's a taco pizza. That's my favorite. Tell her she did well. All right, Megan Green, speaking of military families, that's Megan's family. She says, Merry Christmas to you and your family, Mike. We had those Secret Santa shop opportunities in a few different places when I was a kid, at school, at a local breakfast with Santa event, those kinds of things. And I loved them. I thought I was so cool getting to shop all by myself, though definitely still spending my parents' money in buying all my family members those little gifts. Like you said, they were junk, but it was definitely the thought that counted. Absolutely. My boys' school before the pandemic had a bingo night every year where a couple of weeks before winter break started, they would have a secret Santa shop set up in the library that the kids could visit if they wanted to. And my boys loved it as much as I did when I was little. This year, they brought bingo night back, but they didn't have the shop. They still each got to do some Christmas shopping though, because they decided they wanted the five of us, my three boys, my husband and I, to draw names and do a secret Santa gift exchange on our own on Christmas Eve. Getting everyone out to shop and not reveal who had who was a little tricky, but we managed it. And they are very excited to reveal their surprises in a couple of days. That is the logistics of that with triplets. That has to be, I don't know, like March Madness level bracketing kind of thing to figure out, okay, who's got who, and you got to buy this, but you can't tell who's got. Yeah. Okay. So Trisha's got to report back about what she got. Megan, you got to give us a story. We're going to have good feedback next week. And this is going to be good because this will be right before I go to marathon weekend. So definitely, I'm counting on you guys are always here. Make sure patreon.com/BRGuest podcast. Got to give the feedback. That'll be fun next week. Heather is here. Dear Santa, she says, please send me some of Mike's grandma's stuffing balls, or please ask Pam to share the recipe. Merry Christmas, Rallman family, and Riley the Wonder Dog. I'll have to ask Pam. I know it's just basically stovetop stuffing. There's not a lot to it, but I will ask her. I know that the main thing is stovetop stuffing, but I will get that for you, Heather. Happy New Year to you. Thanks for being here. Merry Christmas. And finally, Dennis says, I hope you have a fantastic Christmas, Mike. Your stories on holiday shopping brought back memories. I remember being in junior high school and getting some gifts from friends that I was not expecting to receive gifts from. I was the co-editor in chief of the school yearbook, and one of the gifts was from the other co-editor. I decided I had to get a return gift for her, and this stressed me out to no end. I totally feel you. I spent hours at the mall going from store to store looking for something that was in my budget, was appropriate for a friend, and didn't send the wrong message. This is awesome. That's exactly, man, I feel your pain, Dennis. I have been there. I have two brothers, no sisters, and I had no idea how to shop for girls at the time. I ultimately settled on a nice package of stationery that had music notes, as she was a musician and frequently used her own stationery for writing notes, etc. The gift was well received, but even before I gave it to her and she opened it, I was still a stressed out young teenager. Happy New Year. Oh my gosh, Dennis, thanks for that story. I could feel it. I know you spent some time in St. Louis. I don't know if you were walking around the Galleria or St. Louis Mills or Jamestown Mall or what have you, West County Center, Chesterfield Mall. I don't know, but I can picture that happening because I think, I don't know, because the ladies, you don't understand, you know, because the ladies have never been a teenage boy that has to buy a gift for their first girl. Like, it is the most stressful thing ever because you have no idea what you're doing. I mean, not when I was trying to buy that sweatshirt for my first girlfriend, I just remember that Benetton. But then I went into like I was going to buy a Benetton sweatshirt. Like, what size? What style? What color? I'm like, "Dude, I don't know. Like, I didn't think about that. Like, I was getting a sweatshirt. Like, when I get sweatshirts, it's just like a sweatshirt, like oh my, I was just, and then that was the first of the rest of my life. Then you learn the rest of your life. Cause now I have two daughters and a wife. That was like step one. And I'm on like step 7,284 of that journey at this point, because it's never stopped because I'm the only guy in my family. You guys are awesome. So if you have any feedback, and I want lots of feedback for next week because you guys are the best. This is the best part of the show. I hope you guys always enjoy this part of the show because this is my favorite part. Patreon.com/BRGuest podcast. Okay, real quick. The one thing I want to talk about for next week's show that I was thinking about this week, because Christmas has come and gone. We had a great Christmas. We had Christmas Eve and went out to my in-laws and spent some time out in Moscow Mills, Missouri. And we did, Christmas Eve with the entire side of Pam's family, all of her sisters, and the husbands and the cousins and the nieces and nephews, and everybody was out there. We exchanged gifts. We had a good time, lots of good food. Came home, watched Charlie Brown Christmas. Then we went to midnight church and came home, and it was 1 o'clock in the morning, Christmas morning. Went to bed, got up in the morning, did our Christmas gifts to just our family of four. My dad usually comes over, but the Rams were playing on Christmas Day this year, so he was out in LA. So it was just us four this year. Had our breakfast, and that was kind of it. But the one thing that still lingers for Christmas cookies, because one of the first things that Pam and Paige and Mallory do when Paige gets home from school, or gets back into town, is they make the Christmas cookies. So I want to talk about, first of all, the Christmas cookies that we have here in our house, still the ones that we make here, because I want to hear what kind of Christmas cookies you have where you live and what you had when you were growing up, but also a few of my favorites from growing up that are no longer around, and see if you remember these kind of cookies. Okay, first of all, here's the kind of cookies that we have, Christmas cookies that we have currently here at the house. And I'll try to post a picture on Instagram this evening of what's left and what I've been snacking on. And the problem is, we make a lot of Christmas. When they make Christmas cookies, they make tons of them because we take them to my in-laws and we leave a bunch out there, but we still have too many here. It's a wonder I don't gain 30 pounds before marathon weekend. So first of all, we make the sugar cookies with, obviously, they're just kind of white cookies, but they're all different shapes, like snowflakes, Christmas trees, Mickey heads, but they have different color, like, sugar on top. So those are kind of standard, but they're the biggest of the cookies. They're kind of substantial. So if you want a really thick cookie and you're kind of hungry, that's a good go-to cookie. And so those are super tasty, but you don't get your chocolate fix, obviously. So we have the standard but very thick sugar cookie. We also have chocolate chip cookies. Now, here's the thing. I saw this debated on social media the other day. Is a chocolate chip cookie considered a Christmas cookie? To me, it is, but it's also a year-round cookie. My grandma made the best chocolate chip cookies ever. I mean, best. There's no doubt. But I mean, now I did see that in this post that you can make a chocolate chip cookie a Christmas cookie simply by putting in green and red M&Ms. Problem solved. It looks Christmassy, but it's a chocolate chip cookie. These are just regular chocolate chip cookies, but you got to have those to they're kind of like filler, but they're good. Like, I keep going back to them. So just good plain old chocolate chip cookies, Christmas. So we also have, here's my favorite. I have two favorites, and these are the other two that are still, well, there's three still left. So we have the chocolate chip. So my wife makes these chocolate cookies that also have chocolate chips on them, but they're covered with powdered sugar. These things are awesome. I love these things. So do you have those chocolate chip with powdered sugar on top? Now you got to be careful, because when you eat them, if you breathe in as you're getting ready to eat it, it will choke you when the powdered sugar goes down your throat. So you cannot inhale as you get ready to eat this cookie. Fair warning. We also have peanut butter balls. So I'm not a big fan of these because these things are dense and they fill you up fast. These are the most dense of any of the things. And they're basically just like little balls of peanut butter. And there's some butterscotch mixed in there as well, I think. And they're covered with milk chocolate, and you keep them in the fridge. So now I never go to them because they're in the fridge. They're not out with the rest of the cookies on the counter. So I always forget about these, but these are Mallory's favorite. She loves those. And a bunch of the family loves these. My grandpa loved these back in the day. So we have peanut butter balls, but my favorite of all of them, and I've posted pictures of these on social media many times, the green wreaths. So my wife makes these out of cornflakes, and she uses green food coloring, lots of butter, makes molds them into kind of wreath looking things, but they don't always end up looking wreathy. Who cares what they look like? They taste great. And then she puts these red little candies on. They're called Imperials, I think. And they give a little red color to the green. Oh, and here's the thing. They're versatile because they're cornflakes. Basically, you can eat one of these for breakfast. I mean, really, you're eating cereal. But I mean, I eat these things. There's only like 3 left. And I'm kind of sad because that'll be it till next year. But so I have the green wreaths, the chocolate chips, the chocolate chips, the peanut butter balls, and the sugar cookies. So those are the Christmas cookies we have right now. Those are kind of our go-tos every year. Now, the cookies that I remember from childhood, EL fudge, Those were go-tos. Soft batch cookies. Excuse me. I love soft batch cookies when I was a kid because those were the kind you'd put on a paper plate and you'd put in the microwave for like 20 seconds and they would taste just like they were fresh out of the oven. I don't think they make those anymore. Also, when I was a kid, we didn't have Oreos, but we had Hydrox cookies. I don't know if those were like cheap kinds of Oreo cookies or what, but we always had Hydrox instead of Oreo. And I don't know what the reason for that is. I got to look that up, but we never had Oreos. We had Hydrox. Um, and then I got to give a shout out to Mel in Australia, one of our listeners. She sent me a kind of cookie called a Tim Tam. And these things, they're gone. I mean, they're so gone. They're called biscuits for one thing. They're not called cookies on the package. They're called biscuits. They're from Australia. And they're just little wafers that are covered in this milk chocolate. And they were so good. They got me from the time that I wanted Christmas cookies until Paige got home and they made Christmas cookies. They were wonderful. So if you ever get a chance to have Tim Tams, I'm telling you what, you got to try them. They're so good. All right, so we're running super long, but here's what I want for next week. First of all, I got to know what you got for Christmas. What did you get? What did you give? I got to hear this. You guys leave me out hanging. Also, in your neck of the woods, in your house, what are the go-to Christmas cookies? What do you have still around? What did you make this year? And what are your favorites from childhood? What do you remember that maybe you're still around or not around anymore that you really liked? Give us some feedback. Let's talk about it next week. But most importantly, I hope you have a great new year. Hope you have a great rest of 2022. We have a few days left, so make the most of it and have a super safe. Make sure if you celebrate on Saturday night that you have somebody else driving you around because I want you back here. We're all friends here. I need you here. We need to all be here together. But I hope you have a great 2023. We'll get back together again next Tuesday. But I appreciate you guys so much. Thanks for being a friend. You guys stay safe, stay healthy, and happy New Year.